I'd like to call this meeting to order. Roll call, please.
My mic was on the whole time.
Mr. Accomando, Ms. Borelli, Mr. Aricello,
Present.
Ms. Ainello,
Here.
Mr. Laurentino,
Present.
Ms. Roloff,
Present.
Ms. Torbeck,
Present.
Ms. Traverso,
Here.
Ms. Zattarelli.
Here. I didn't hear you, Brent.
Can you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
Down this end.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I was more concerned about the thing.
Adequate notice of this meeting has been sent to all members of the Board of Education and to the Bergen Record in accordance with provisions of the Open Meetings Act, Chapter 231, 1975. And can I have the superintendent's report?
Yes, thank you. First, there was a message that was just sent out regarding a 2-hour delayed opening for tomorrow, Tuesday, January 16th. So you should have received a text, a phone call, and an email, and an app notification if you have the app. So if you are missing one of those contacts, please update your information in the parent portal. We have a presentation tonight, but before we start the presentation, I just wanted to comment on the calendar. So the 2024-2025 school calendar was on the agenda for tonight, and it wasn't completed in time. So we are going to put it on the February agenda. So what I wanted to do is all the county superintendents, there's a Bergen County group, and we have these monthly surveys. So I added some questions to the monthly survey to see what other districts do, because I did hear, I don't typically respond to Facebook posts, but I did hear that on Facebook there was a couple posts, or I should say a lot of posts about today and our students having a half day, and our staff had PD in the afternoon. The reason being was we wanted to keep it consistent across Veterans Day, Columbus Day, Martin Luther King Day. Didn't want to try to keep it as equitable as possible. And also, it's a struggle to have the 184 required student days between September and June and all the days that we do have off currently. So I did speak to 2 parents today. One reached out to me, one I reached out to, and we had great conversations about about the process and what's required. So I'm going to do this county superintendent survey, see what other districts are doing for next school year, and then revisit the 24-25 school calendar. So I just wanted to put that out there. And then for our presentation tonight, we have one of our speech pathologists, Laura Ironman. She is, this year, she's based solely at the middle school, high school, and she is proposing a new elective for our high school students. And it's on the topic of neurodiversity. And I thought, because this is sort of her baby, I suppose, and that it would be great to have her come and just share this course and the thought behind the course with our Board of Ed members, because it is on the agenda to be approved at Wednesday night's meeting. So at this time, I'm going to invite the board members to go have a seat and Laura Ironman to come on up here. I will give you, nope, I have one. Oh yeah, take that one, sorry. Just give it a minute. Test.
There we go. Thank you. That's fine. I'll hold it. Yeah, perfect. Thank you. Yep. While it's loading, I can give a little bit of the context behind why this is my baby for this year. You guys were grateful enough, I was grateful that you approved that I could go to a conference back in November, the American Speech and Hearing Association. At that conference, I actually went to a panel in which a teacher and a speech pathologist are co-treating a class similar to this one in the public schools of Portland. And so based on that, I was inspired. I saw a need in our school to do very similar things. So I thought starting it as a half semester, a half year elective would be the perfect start to get this information out there for the need. So as Ms. Bialetti said, my name is Laura Ironman. I am one of the speech pathologists in the district. I work solely right now at the middle school, high school, working closely with SAIL, but also working with a lot of individuals who may fall under this realm of neurodiverse, whether it's ADHD, autism, sometimes not any of those, and they have other labels, but would definitely benefit from this sort of class. Ooh. So to start off, I'm going to introduce what neurodiversity is. A lot of you have heard this term before. It's it's not new, but there's a lot more coming out now of what neurodiversity is and what neurodiversity is not. So this just gives the definition of what neurodiversity is, and it really specifies that it's not necessarily talking about a pathological diagnoses. It's talking more about a difference going on mentally. So it falls under, there's a lot that falls under this umbrella, and that's what's coming out, is that there's more and more that fall under this umbrella. It's not necessarily just autism. So when we're looking at neurodiversity, we're not just looking at autism. Obviously, autism is the one that I think a lot of us think about, especially in April. We talk about neurodiversity acceptance, autism awareness, but it also has to do with individuals with ADHD, executive dysfunction skills, dyslexia, dyscalculia. And what we're finding is that this is growing, that we're putting more under this term neurodiverse, this umbrella, because it's fitting more of what we initially thought. So the purpose of this course would be not only to define neurodiversity, but understand the difference between neurodiversity and neurotypical people, and then also learn and practice skills and strategies that support things like burnout, executive functioning, regulation skills, social emotional regulation, physical regulation, all of the above. And then looking into this class, we would start off by just understanding the etiology of neurodiversity, where it comes from. A lot of people know the word, but they don't necessarily what it means, and they don't know a lot of people still have those rumors going around autism caused by vaccines, so on and so forth. So looking actually at the research and looking at the etiology of what neurodiversity is and what it isn't. We would also look into monotropic interests, which are those special interests that some people have. We would look at sensory and individualized energy scales. I have more on the next slide, so just going into this a little bit. These are all different highlights of the class that we would cover, topics. They would happen over a multitude of days, but we kind of want to do a crash course on neurodiversity, getting as much in that semester as possible. So again, continuing looking at that class, we would work on regulation tools. What burnout looks like. I have seen students these days, especially in my class, that they don't even realize they're burnt out. They don't know how to even start catching up on the homework that they haven't done. They don't know what's going on. They're not motivated, what it looks like, and how to help that burnout. And what burnout looks like for physical, mental, and emotional energy levels, and understanding that there's a difference. I have all the time my kids tell me they're tired. And I'm like, is it a physical tired, a mental tired, an emotional tired? What's going on there? And then executive functioning. I'll be very honest with you. I didn't really understand what executive functioning was until I went to college for it. So it's something that I could have definitely used myself in high school, looking at organizational skills, planning, time management. So I have a lot of students that are what we call time blind, and they think that they can wait till the last minute to do this big project, and then they panic because they realize they were up all night and they only finished half of it. So working on time management and self-regulation as well. And then that academic skills, so understanding note-taking, not just highlighting the whole paragraph, but understanding the key parts and making sure you're getting the gist of what's going on, as well as studying and test-taking. A lot of neurodiverse individuals will find that especially they're really smart, but maybe their test grades don't reflect that because they don't know how to study or take a test in certain ways. The other part of this class would look into the advocacy part. So it's going to look at IDEA and IEPs. Unfortunately, I have a lot of students. I'm a speech therapist, so my students need an IEP. They come in, I talk about IEPs. They go, what's an IEP? They've never heard of it before. So it's talking about something that is their legal document that shows why I'm here kind of thing, but it's something that I would really love to teach them the legality of it and show that advocacy piece. They have rights as people with disabilities. Another one would be a unit on goal setting and appropriate goal setting, things that are actually achievable, how would they get there, things like that. And then if we have time, I'd love to do a book writing or book discussion on an author who is neurodiverse. So I've read a bunch of these. There's a bunch more out there, but kind of giving that perspective of neurodiverse authors and putting words into what they may be feeling, and that would help as well. So a little introduction to this class. This is one of my favorite slides, is we're talking about individualism with this class. So I have Michael Scott up there, I have some silly dogs, I have a how you're feeling. Every class would start with this individual take on a check-in scale. When we talk about check-in and we talk about our feelings, the idea of the individualistic and how everyone does not think the same, we would be creating our own checklists based on how they kind of understand how they're feeling. I equated it to not everyone's going to understand like a Likert scale of on a scale of 1 to 10, how are you feeling today? Or even how are you feeling today, knowing what happy means or knowing what exhausted means. But maybe they understand a character, how a character felt in that certain scene of that certain movie, of that certain TV show. So we would be creating these ourselves. This would be one of the lessons we do with the students of finding a way that they can check in with their bodies on a regular. Another one I love is, if anyone is familiar with Lilo and Stitch, the one to the far right is how bad he is, but it's also a great of how much energy do you have today. Sometimes that red, you feel it, you're right down to your toes. So understanding and being able to check in with yourself and really understanding what that truly means, as opposed to just saying, I feel fine, because that's what I get from a lot of my students. So I'm showing how I would break down these lessons into reasonable chunks. So this would be roughly a week into the sensory look of things. So the first one would be like a preliminary sensory profile that we would do with students. They would take a survey to start identify maybe what sensations they like, what they don't like. Day 2 would be to identify and understand those different sensory experiences. So that would be vestibular, hearing, sound, sense, all of those different fun things. And then day 3 would be demonstrating those. So if you don't know what vestibular feels like, we'll show you, putting you in a rolling chair, spinning you around kind of thing, to really understand what you like and what you don't like. And then for day 4 would be that review, maybe another quiz of how do you actually feel about those. When I'll be honest, I'll do a little personal story here. When I first did a sensory profile, I wrote what I thought the first time, and then I experienced those sensations, and then my test changed drastically the second time because I realized what I was actually saying. So that would be kind of looking at a week of this course. And then this would be like a day in the life of the class. So I like to break it down in different ways so you can kind of visualize what's going on. So the lesson, again, this would be with the sensory. So that 5 minutes would be that daily check-in. Then 30 minutes would be that lecture or talking about all of the different sensations, proprioceptive, vestibular, tactile, olfactory, so on and so forth. 12 minutes, maybe we start to demonstrate with the class. We do a whole class participatory thing. And that last 2 minutes is that wrap up to review how we're doing at the end. That wrap up is very important because it's going to show, okay, how did you feel at the beginning of the class? How did you feel at the end? Not everyone's going to feel tired. Maybe they feel something better now that they've regulated or they've learned a little bit about regulation. So it's trying to build that awareness into their day and start naturally getting them to check in with themselves so they avoid that burnout. It's that natural step that they would need to take. So why this class? This is from 2020, but 1 in 36 children are identified as autistic according to the CDC. That is rising, so it's likely much higher now already. And then about 1 in 6 children aged 3 to 17 are diagnosed with some sort of developmental disability. That doesn't necessarily include, it encompasses neurodiversity, but it also includes things like blindness, cerebral palsy, among others. But it's still an incredibly high number, and it continues to rise. And as we learn more about what neurodiversity really is, that number also continues to rise and what it looks like in different ages and genders. Why this class again? The idea is I would like it to build a sense of community, including those with different abilities. It increases empathy, tolerance, and leadership skills in our students. So a side note is when I'm thinking about this class, I'm not necessarily only thinking about neurodiverse individuals. I'm also thinking of those students who are like, I want to help someone after high school. I want to go to school to help someone. Maybe I become a teacher, but I don't really know what's out there. We would have a course or we would have a lesson on all of the different tools and careers out that you could do with them. I was lucky enough that my sister was a speech therapist, so then I became a speech therapist, but not everyone is that lucky. I always say, too, if I knew what an occupational therapist was back then, I may have changed and shifted gears a little bit more. But that being said, occupational therapy, physical therapy, music therapy, behavior therapy, all of the therapies, but also school psychologists, case managers, social workers, regular psychologists. There's all these careers out there that we would introduce as well. So if you have those students that are saying, you want to help someone, but you don't know what you want to do with that, you just want to work with kids or you want to help, this would be a great course to introduce a lot of those careers out there. It also allows a place for students who are neurodiverse to feel accepted and normalize differences in themselves. The idea is that we want to empower everybody. It doesn't even necessarily have to be people who identify as neurodiverse. Could just be a person who now feels empowered because they know how to advocate for themselves or they know how to take better notes. So it's really just bettering students in general. And then it offers, I spoke a little bit ahead of myself, but it introduces the professions of healthcare and offers opportunities of open conversations with peers and staff, of people not necessarily knowing what kind of questions to ask. Maybe they don't even know if they are diagnosed neurodiverse, they don't necessarily know what that means or what it doesn't mean. So they're going to learn something about themselves too. And then, again, it offers opportunities for generalization. So me teaching the class, it would be great if I had some of my students take the class because then I could see them generalize those skills in the classroom, because I always say I have my lovely little office back here and then I push them out of the door and then I don't know how they're doing. I check in with their teachers, but I'd love to be able to be in that classroom with them as well. So this is something that I showed the 11th and 10th graders this week, what this class is and what this class isn't. I just want to make it clear that this class isn't, again, just for those neurodiverse students. We have a lot of them and they're more than welcome, but the idea is that this course is for everyone and everyone would benefit from this course. And then I like The Office, so I have a thing for questions if anyone has any questions. Yes? Both. So the idea, it's both. So the idea is everyone's going to feel different. Everyone has their bad days. Regardless if you have emotional regulation difficulties or not, you're going to learn how to regulate yourself or others. So the idea is if you don't feel it yourself, you likely have already experienced someone who does in your wheelhouse just based on how frequent these diagnoses are, or you're feeling it yourself. So it's going to do it twofold. The idea is, again, we're teaching those advocacy skills. We're teaching how to do it, but we're also teaching how you could teach others how to do it. Sorry. No. This is open to anyone. When we introduced it this week, it's open to anyone 9th through 12th, and I made it clear that you don't need to be identified with anything. It's not a special ed course, it's an elective course, so there does not need to be an IEP in place for you to take this class. Correct. Absolutely. So I geared it a little different towards the students or 2 days ago, whenever that assembly was, to talk a lot specifically about the career paths you can take with it. I also have been talking to the counselors at the high school regarding this class and teaching them what we would be doing within this course. So I didn't highlight it a lot in this presentation, which I should have, but that the career paths is going to be a huge part, as well as I already have some interested parties into like a guest teaching a course, let's say. So I know there's occupational therapists who would love to be incorporated. Right. Yeah, so the draw would really be, and this is how I felt, and I know a lot of people when I went to high school felt the same way, is I want to help people, but I don't know how. I only know I could be a nurse or a teacher or, the ones that we see in the front lines, but we don't necessarily see all of these other career paths. It's trying to branch out to that. So that's the idea behind it, is that there's more behind it than necessarily what we're just presenting here. 9 through 12 to start, yeah. Oh, yep.
I think also, thank you, Laura. I think the draw also is when you're in the class, like Laura shared, starting off with identifying that self-regulation, how you're feeling. So kind of learning those skills yourself, which every single person can really benefit from. And learning about the differences between people, the inclusivity that we're really trying to promote across the district. The careers is a huge thing. A lot of our students are interested in OT, PT, speech therapy, and, other careers that they really may not know as much about. Just they may have peers with an IEP and they don't know what an IEP is, and just sort of learning what's the purpose of an IEP. What if, when they have children, they need, what services are available out there? Just kind of an intro as to what that world is like.
Go ahead. Yeah, of course. Absolutely. It's something I wish I had too, because I was in college again and I went, what is this? And it was burnout. So I think offhand, I think they couldn't get over my last name because there was a lot of murmuring when I started, and my last name is Iron Man. So I was hoping that also pulled them in, but I think that there was interest. There was a lot of I saw nodding. I saw people interested. I think the big one is that I did talk to the counselors, and they said that they were recommending a few students, if this does pass, to take the class because they knew that they wanted to be prospective teachers. I know we have the Tomorrow's Teachers program too, and I was going to be working on chatting with the people who run that as well to say, hey, if they're interested in it, this is a great course to take as an elective, to say, even if they don't necessarily go into special education, it's going to look great on a resume to take something like this so that they have that one up, let's say, for colleges. Yeah.
But my background's in guidance, so like, you know, that's why I'm looking at
Right.
it and thinking, this is fantastic, but.
Thank you.
So, like what you were saying, like that's where my brain is, I'm like, I don't know, I feel like if somebody, as someone who wants, exactly what you just said, I knew I wanted to work with kids, but I had no idea what I wanted to do. Like, for me at that point, like, oh, this is all we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
It took me till I was, you know, well, you know, 30, well, not that. But, you know, it took a long time to so we can present more things like this. To kids, I feel like gives them opportunity to see how I say.
Well, it's funny that Laura is up. You know, she said if you think you want to help people. When I was in high school, that was really that was me. I was like, I want to help people. I don't know how. I went into social work, and I went into criminology. I did social work at a juvenile detention center. It took me a while to find my way. Whereas I think if I had more choices, more electives, more knowledge, that probably would have benefited me. Any other questions? All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you very much for that presentation. It was very lovely done. Okay. Okay, so, Mr. Karate, do you have anything?
I don't have a report this evening, but I have a few items under the budget finance section to go over, so I'll wait till then.
Okay, very good. All right, so we're going to review the agenda. Okay, so under board action items, do we have any questions or comments? Do you want me to read?
Do you want me to comment?
It's up to you.
So under board action,
We're taking the .30 out, right?
Do you want me to?
point 3.1 is crossed out, yes. It's not crossed out on yours, it's crossed out.
The district calendar, okay.
So I'll work my way backwards. Approve the revised board meeting calendar. So our board meeting calendar had a couple errors on it, so they were corrected. So our board meeting calendar is being reapproved. We had our MOA meeting, the Memorandum of Agreement, with Saddlebrook Police Department, and that MOA just kind of details when we reach out to the police, why we'd reach out to the police, when we're mandated to reach out to the police. It kind of goes through our working relationship, which we're really fortunate to have a very positive one here in town. So I thank them for working with us. That is mandated. The MOA is mandated as well. And we are being QSAC'd on Friday, so that's important to have. The student safety data system, that is also mandated. It's mandated that we report any incidents of violence, vandalism, things like that, twice a year to the state. So that's what that is. And that's it for me.
Okay. All right, under education and curriculum, we have E2324.29 through E2324.31. Does anyone have any questions or comments?
If I may, the .30 is the neurodiversity course that Ms. Ironman just shared with everybody. Home instruction for 2 students. And field trips, let me just take a quick look. The field trips, a lot of our special education classes, they go on community outings, so a lot of those are included on this month's field trips. Our outdoor club at the middle school, high school, they have a couple of trips. There's going to be a William Patterson tour for interested juniors. Oh, and also Construction Industry Career Day at the New Jersey Expo Center for interested juniors as well. So those are some important ones. And our Service Learning Club, they're going to be visiting our kindergarten classes to present kindness activity.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Anything? All right, under Budget and Finance, BF 2324.59 through BF 2324.68.
So just a few updates before you, if you have any questions. So we're going to have a second bill. It's probably like another dozen or so vouchers to be paid. We just lost time with the school closing last week, so I always want to get them on. We'll get that out to you tomorrow. Hopefully we're here. 60 and 61 are financial reports. Because the meeting is a week later in January, I'm trying to get these done. If that doesn't work out, I'll take them off the agenda. 63, 64, and 65 are all part of the one purchase. 63 is the purchase of these interactive display monitors. 64 is the financing of them, and 65 amends our budget. 67 is a bid we had, if you remember last month, we rejected the bids for the elevator. We opened up rebid January 9th. Mr. Wenzel's, reviewing them, and we should have the final answer tomorrow. I think he's done with that bid, and we're okay with that one. 68, we held off on this because there was some issues with the bids. I think we're reviewing the second or third one. But that should be all good for tomorrow too. So I should have the vendors that bid with their bids and the total award tomorrow for Wednesday's agenda. And I think that second bill list and the bids, yeah. Okay, that concludes those items. Any questions on them?
Good. Okay. Under Facilities and Operations, we just have one F 2324.7. Any questions? Comments? Okay. Nope. No, we're good? Okay, so we have nothing for policy or negotiations. Okay. In personnel, we have P2324.42 through P2324.49. Any questions that are?
Yes. 4.42 for the first item. Those, we have 6 individuals that are either resigning or retiring, and we want to wish them the very best. I want to inform the board that I am hoping to interview a replacement for number 1 tomorrow or Wednesday morning, and it might be a last-minute addition to the agenda Wednesday night if we're able to make it work.
Is that the first interview with the person? Or the one for
By the time it gets to me, so they went through several rounds with the committee.
Very good.
And if I may add one, we're hoping to have a replacement for item under 42, the maintenance position. So under 43, we're hoping to add an appointment for the maintenance position by Wednesday.
A replacement?
Yes.
Okay. Questions or comments for open discussion that we can have? No? Okay. Do we have any committee reports?
Not tonight.
Okay.
May
Nope.
I share one thing I forgot?
Absolutely.
Wednesday night's board meeting, we are going to have Law Memorial School present. They're going to highlight some happenings at Law Memorial School, and the VFW is also going to be here to present the awards for their Voice of Democracy essay contest winners.
Can you pass it down? Okay.
So I think you received a committee list from Ms. Ianello. I'm passing one around, hard copy. The only thing we don't have on there was the voucher. The three new board members will be signing vouchers, rotating each month. And then we'll be setting up some committee meetings, so be on the lookout for some emails for policy. Negotiations are going to start with the custodial maintenance group, and budget will be starting towards the end of January, early February. So it gets pretty active now with the committees.
Okay. Any liaison reports?
Not tonight.
Nothing tonight? Okay. I will say that the middle school, high school PTO meeting is at 7:30. I'm sure they've waited until our meeting's over, and then you can log on, that Mr. Meisch has sent out the link, as well as on the website. So, okay. Correspondence?
There's
Is there any
none.
correspondence?
No.
Nope. Okay. Old business?
Through the chair, I'm not sure if this is old business, but I have a question about the board calendar. Is that okay for now?
Yeah.
We have a meeting in July? Oh, no, there's none.
No.
It's just June, right? Just the one in June?
You had the regular meeting in June, and then we added a
Not July.
special meeting towards the end of June
Sorry.
to clean up.
My
Okay.
fault.
That's okay.
Are you correct? There was no meeting in July.
You added already in, because usually it just happens that we have to
Yeah,
add
we-
it.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'd rather put one on there. We could always cancel if we don't need it.
Okay. All right. Anything else? Are we good?
And just for the board to remind them that Wednesday, we're taking the board photos for the yearbook, so look your best.
I had my hair done on Saturday for it. Okay, new business. Anybody, new business? Nope. Okay,
Oh,
all right.
Wait, can
Oh,
we go back
wait.
under personnel through the chair?
Yes.
On P2324.48, are all of these people, they have background checks?
The new ones will, so let me, when I go back to my office, I will check this week.
Oh, okay. All right. All right, we're going to open the meeting to the public. Can I have a motion? Motion. Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Would anybody from the public like to make a comment? Going once? Okay, thank you. I'd like to close the meeting to the public then.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. So now, don't I have to read something? Okay. So we're going to close? Okay. Okay. Wait, close the meeting. I already did that. I have to close it now? Again?
Motion to go into closed session.
Okay. I'm going to make a motion to go into closed session.
Motion.
Second? Yes. Okay. Whereas the Board of Education must discuss matters which are not appropriate for the discussion in a public meeting, and whereas these subjects are within the expectations to the Open Public Meetings Act and are permitted to be discussed in closed session pursuant to the new NJSA, do I have to say all these numbers? 10-4-12B, and, no? Sorry. And whereas the Board of Education intends to discuss the matters to the following, we have 2 cases, HIB cases to discuss. Whereas the length of the closed session is an estimate to be 15 minutes, after which the public meeting of the board shall reconvene, and the action will not be taken. Do I have to do all of this too? Oh. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Education will recess into closed session for only the afforded subjects, and be it further resolved that the Board of Education hereby declares that it discusses of the afforded subjects will be made public at the time when the public's interest is disclosed is greater than any privacy or governmental interest being protected by the disclosure in accordance with the Public Meetings Act. I will practice that for Wednesday. Okay. All in favor? Any opposed? No, I hit the gavel.
No, I don't.
Good night, everyone. Thank you.
Go in peace. We will see you Wednesday.
Be safe.